I'm Sarah. I'm a T3, and I'm going to talk to you about case reports today. So about me, third year, I graduated at MIT in 2022 with a BS in biology and science writing. Yes, I know none of those have to do with engineering. I had a midlife crisis. I love scientific communication. It's my number one interest. So if you ever have questions about that, want to know some cool tools, let me know. Also like Shakespeare. So what is a case report? A case report is a published peer-reviewed paper containing the details of a single event. There are a really wide range of what a case report can be. So this is most common, unusual illness, unusual presentation. For example, cardiac rhabdo, you're going to learn about this, cardiac rhabdomyosarcoma, super rare form of heart cancer. A case report might be, one I read was a presentation of a cardiac rhabdomyosarcoma that appeared as heart failure. So they thought the patient had heart failure. They treated him for heart failure, couldn't figure it out. Eventually, they got a couple scans done. There's a tumor in the heart. So very interesting. Unusual responses to normal treatment. So like getting a seizure when you get an SSRI or something. That's not super unusual, but an exciting response to new treatment. So a complete remission of cancer when you give them a new drug. Super cool. Or an important confusing event. People will write about when they messed up because that is important to share, and it might be a mistake that somebody else will make, and you want to keep them from doing that. Oh, I have fun animations in my slides. It keeps me entertained. So how do you find a case report? This is the struggle of every med student. Start by forming a relationship with a doctor, really. Email and say, I want to shadow. I want to learn more about this. I want to meet for coffee. You're going to be doing in T2 a fun thing where you have to be assigned a resident or doctor and you hang out with them like once every 3 weeks or something like that. That can be a really good starting off point, even if they aren't really available for mentoring beyond what they're doing. You can talk to them and say, do you know if there's a doctor that's looking to have a med student who might write a case report for them, or I could shadow or something like that. The keywords I'm looking for a mentor is really going to get you far because they'll know people who like to mentor. And then also the secondary thing you can do is when you're in your rotations, keep an eye out for interesting cases. You're going to see them, and then it'll be fun, and you'll really know the patient and know the case because you'll have done it. That's my fun little detective. So what makes up a case report? Get it? It's a case, has reports in it. So first you got your abstract, your introduction, case presentation, discussion, and conclusion. So it is similar to a lot of research papers. Let me go back. One thing you might notice as you write a case report or as you look at them, they can be very similar to a SOAP note. The abstract and introduction is a little different, but the case presentation uses very similar language. So as you get better at writing your SOAP notes or your H&Ps, you'll get better at writing case reports. Abstract summarizes the case. Pretty sure we all know what an abstract is at this point. Introduction, they're typically short for case reports, but it's really the super important information and a 1 to 2 sentence summary of the case. This is like the gotcha thesis of why do we care? This patient had a tumor and it's gone now, that kind of thing. Then you got your case presentation. Sorry, the text is a little small there. So this is where I'm saying it's very similar to a SOAP note. That's a very complicated thing of a SOAP note. I'm also recording this so I can give it to you guys later if you want to review anything. And let me know if I'm talking too fast. But you'll give your patient description. This is where you really have to learn to be succinct and to give it in a way that doctors expect it. So patient description will always be very kind of similar to 21-year-old male with past history of pertinent history, presents with blah, blah, blah. This is cancer stuff is very common. This is the Cancer Club. This is typically where you'll give the initial pathology, staging, what is the type of cancer they have, that kind of thing. Case history will then sort of begin the story. So it is very sort of storytelling with something like this. And you're going to have to be really organized with your dates and things like that, because I'll show you an example in a minute, but it can be very similar. On day 1 of treatment, the patient had these labs and they had the scan, these symptoms. On day 21 of treatment, they had these labs in this scan and this progression and that sort of thing. And so this is where you can get really into the like granular detail. This is also, if you have, I'll get more into this later, but if you have a publication or a paper that you are already intending to submit to, it is really helpful before you start writing the case presentation and the case history to read some of the presentations or case reports they've already published, because different papers have different wants for how much detail they're going to be giving you. And some of them want every single lab and every single thing, and some of them only want the really pertinent labs and things like that. So it's helpful to look. And if you don't have a paper you know which one you're going to submit to yet, then go with more detail, then you can take it out later. Physical examination results, very similar to what you'll write for a SOAP note. Like just head to toe, this is what we found. And then treatment plan is like what you were planning on doing. And then expected outcome of the treatment, actual outcome. This is a little different if you are, planning on doing like, this is the last three sort of treatment plan, expected outcome, and actual outcome will be different depending on what kind of paper you're doing. But that little part is like kind of what was expected and what was different. So we expected heart failure, we got a cardiac tumor. We expected them to not have a great outcome to this drug. They had a great outcome to the drug. We expected to not make a mistake. We made a mistake, that kind of thing. And then, yeah, always make sure that you have the relevant details. I think that where this can get tricky doing this maybe as a T1.5 or T2 is that you don't always know what are the relevant details. So like I've had a back and forth where I will send the paper to the doctor and the doctor will be like, where's this? Where's that? Why haven't you included these labs? And then I'll have to go back and get it. This is just going to be the learning process because you guys don't know everything. So be patient with yourselves. And then the discussion, this is where the money is. This is why do we care? What previous literature has discussed this and what does it say? And then what have we learned from it? And then especially, I think the important reason that we give case reports is because we want to look more into this. Like maybe we need to do a little more research on cardiac tumors and what the presentation of it is. Or maybe this drug is really promising and we need to do more clinical trials with it. So what can this case report tell us about what we need to do in the future? And then conclusion is classic conclusion, just not introduces. That's supposed to say concludes. Okay, this is a complex version of a case report. This is called the CARE guidelines. You don't have to use this. There are a couple different ones, but a lot of papers I've interacted with like this. It's just a list of, I know it's kind of small, but it says things like, the diagnosis, primary concerns, medical, family, social history. It's just a really good way to make sure you're including everything in your case report. And if you can fill this out before you even submit it or even show you're attending, it's just a really good way to make sure you've got everything. One thing I'm going to add in there is, I can do this. Patient perspective and informed consent. This is where things can get a little hairy. You need to make sure that if you have a patient you want to write a report on, that you have informed consent. This can come in a couple different ways. This can come in, hey, patient, I saw that your case is really interesting. I'd like to write a case report. You will be, all the information will be de-identified, but we need you to sign something. Or in a lot of cases, patients are going to already be in a clinical trial related to the drug that you are talking about. And a lot of those trials, they've already sort of signed away that they'll be okay if you write a case report on them. But I think a go-to thing you need to do is if a doctor comes up to you and says, I have a case report, I have an interesting patient, before you write it, say do you have the informed consent? I just want to make sure I got this. Or if you're nervous about pointing out they don't have it, just say I know a lot of journals really like patient perspective and informed consent. Do you have that? It's sucky. People don't like getting it, but you need it. A lot of journals will not accept your case report if you don't have some sort of message. It's usually they'll include it in the publication requirements, please include a statement that says you got informed consent or something like that. And then patient perspective is sometimes the patient is encouraged to give their thoughts on it. It was really scary when I thought I had heart failure. And now it turns out I have a tumor and I really wish patients or doctors had considered this beforehand, that kind of thing. Okay, where to publish? It can be a little tricky because not a lot of papers love to publish case reports. So What is great is that there are a few, it's interesting, they put review papers where they look for lists of journals accepting case reports. So I actually use this one a lot. Um, this is, I've added the like citation there, and it was published in 2023, but it's still relevant. And it's literally like they'll have there's an Excel file in the paper, like additional documents or something, and it has a huge list of journals that will accept case reports, and what types of things they're looking for and that kind of stuff. Where things can get tricky is that you oftentimes have to pay to publish something. And there's a few ways to get around this. Some places are free, and I'm pretty sure that if you look up journals accepting case reports, no fees, you'll probably get some lists. Secondary, though, this is really great. I know you guys had the like case report talk, or not, sorry, the library talk where they were like, sign into your library account and then go to PubMed because then you'll see if you have access. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? So if you do that when looking at patient or journal sites, hello, make sure like you are signed into your Tulane library account and then start looking at journal sites. Some of them will say Tulane has an agreement with this journal. We do not have to pay the fee. I know for a fact that Springer Nature, which has a lot of like sub journals, has that agreement. So that's a really good place to start. I am currently publishing something there that will not have a fee. So attendings love that because they don't want to pay. Yes.
Does that mean we have to be a Tulane student, or if we're working with a physician that's not affiliated with Tulane, is that?
It has to be faculty in Tulane, and they need to be the corresponding author. So that is a limitation. But if you're in doubt, I cannot stress this enough. Go talk to the librarians. Like the librarians at in Hutch, they love talking about research. They love talking about helping you find a paper. I went to them and I like literally said at one point, like, I don't know where to publish this and I need help. And they helped me out. So they're really great resource. And if you need help, like there's also, I'll have to look it up, but there is a grant for publishing as a med student with Tulane. I think if you talk to the librarians, they'll help you figure it out. There's a few things, they're a little bit trickier to do a case report with, but if you ever need to publish something else and you need money, that's a really great thing to do. It's like a few $1,000s, but it'll help a lot. And then just another thing, this is really small, but again, I'll share this file with you guys. There's a list online with a database of journals that accept case reports, and it's super helpful. You can look by keyword and things like that. It's not always up to date. You're going to have to do a lot of like diving around in Google and stuff, but I've never had a failure finding a journal with these tactics. Knock on wood. Okay, my usual AI plea, I add this to everything that I do. Don't use AI to write a case report, guys. First of all, you're putting patient data in it, and it's not supposed to have patient data. It's not HIPAA compliant. Even if it says it's HIPAA compliant, in order for something to be HIPAA compliant, it has to be with Tulane's HIPAA agreement, and that's like a whole thing. We just actually had a huge lecture on it for orientation for T3. You have to download a bunch of special software. It's not HIPAA compliant. And then secondarily, you need to practice this stuff. Like you need to practice writing things on your own, because otherwise your brain's not going to develop. And when the doctor asks you to talk about your case report, you're not going to come up with anything. And when you're a doctor and you're trying to help a med student, you're not going to be able to teach them. So help your brain grow.